Hello. So, getting a little sicker as time goes on. My throat's not sore anymore though, so there's kind of a balance there. I am going for a walk, doing an episode because I'm bored, and because it's late, and because I don't know. Oh, right. Because I was thinking, I think I'm gonna have a sit down over. Well, it's a driveway. I better not sit there. Still might sit down over here, around the edge of the driveway. Spiders. I don't see any bugs. Oh, there's a moth right there. Oh wow, I can't sit on the ground without one or two bugs. So, I was just thinking, that the soul I know that fire is soul, that the neutron, that particle, is always the soul. That atom, I think it's called. One of the particles that makes up a molecule. Or maybe they don't call them atoms. Maybe it's one of the particles that make up an atom. I think it's an atom, and I think it's the particles that make up a molecule. Either way, whatever they're called, there's protons, neutrons, and electrons. Anyone who knows chemistry knows that. All chemicals, and according to science, and according to me, all things are made up of protons, neutrons, and electrons. What science refers to as positive energy, uncharged matter, and negative energy. So protons are positive, neutrons are neutrally charged. They have a charge of 0.5, which is one half, so it's half charged and half positively charged and half negatively charged, so they call it uncharged. And then there's the electron, which has a charge of negative 0.5, so it's not halfway between positive and negative, it's halfway into the negative. It's not quite -1, but it's still less than 0. It's negative 0.5. So -1/2. If you can wrap your head around that. But that's because of the void element in it, which causes depression. I'll get into that more later, but it attracts negative energy. Anyway. The link between science that we have now and the old-fashioned, old-world alchemy, which is like a precursor to science, is where science came from. It was developed originally in Egypt, probably before that by the Sumerians, who the Egyptians got their religions from, and then eventually alchemy was based on a lot of the studies in Egypt. Alchemy was created mostly by the Greeks. Alchemy comes from the word Al-Kemet, which is what the Egyptians called their own country, which means black land. So the term black art comes from alchemy, even though it means something different now. It's not a reference to darkness or evil, it's a reference to the black land of Egypt, because they have, I don't know if it's black sand or what the fuck, something like that, but they call it the black land. So that's That's the whole meaning of alchemy, is from Egypt. That's all that black arts really means, is from Egypt, and the Egyptians did practice a lot of forms of sorcery and the things that eventually became alchemy. And then alchemy eventually became science after some Muslim scholars got a hold of some alchemical writings and study and all kinds of alchemical things, and they basically saw it as superstition, knowing now that, well, they knew then too, but taking into account that there was a lot of worship, and it came from Egyptian religions and stuff, so a lot of that stuff is regarded as mythological because there was religious stuff in it, and they basically de-religionized it, made it into a mathematical scientific formula, and it slowly evolved into our science. That's pretty much all I know about how science became alchemy. I know Isaac Newton, one of the fathers of modern science, was an alchemist, but whatever. That's not the point. I was just giving you some back information. The point is that I found the bridge, this is a while ago, the bridge between science and alchemy, the point where they connect and they all make sense together. The proton is the real earth element. The neutron, oh sorry, I should elaborate. The proton is the earth element, which is hydrogen. The neutron is the fire element, which is helium. And the electron is the water element, which is oxygen. I'm not going to get into the whole argument about water being hydrogen and oxygen and not just oxygen. An element isn't necessarily a single chemical, it's kind of a group of chemicals. The way that modern science looks at things is kind of narrow compared to the way things really are in nature, which is why science is often so regarded as not natural. But anyway, the point that I'm getting to, why I'm explaining all this, is because the neutron, the earth element, is the personality. It's the essence. It's what makes you not what necessarily, but who or whom you are. It's personality, essence, body. Sometimes body doesn't necessarily fit into the equation, but still. The earth element is the essence, or the personality, the root of the self. Not the self, but the root of the self. Earth, root, all kind of makes sense. It's not that relevant, but maybe it's on a deeper level that I don't even understand yet. Then, the neutron, the fire element. The fire element is the soul. Can also be regarded as the heart. You know, when people say this, I know it in my heart, or I feel it in my heart, that's the fire element, it's the soul. That's why the heart is often used metaphorically to mean the soul, and maybe there is a direct relation there. Perhaps even your heart that's in your body, your physical heart, is your soul. I'm not saying it is, I'm just saying perhaps. It's quite possible, but I'm not going to get into that because it's too easy to argue against it, even for me. And then the water element, the electron, the negatively charged particle, is a spirit. Now, people are going to be like, hey, negative, why is it negative? Negative's evil. No, it's not. Some things are positive, some things are neutral, some things are negative. It's an electric charge, a chemical electric charge. I don't even know if I can call it electric anymore with the things that I know, but either way, it's a charge. And it's a negative charge, because water represents sadness. And no matter what you say, in our lives, we have happiness and we have sadness. And without both of them, if there was one but not the other, then it would lose its meaning. And if we didn't have grumpiness, it would still lose its meaning. We have to have anger, we have to have sadness, we have to have happiness. They're all important. You're not supposed to be happy when your friend dies. You're not supposed to be angry when someone gives you a present. And you're not supposed to be sad when you make a new friend. You know, you have to be angry, you have to be sad, you have to be happy. They have to all happen. And even if you had a life without sadness, you still have to have the capacity for sadness or something is wrong. So, it just happens. And you know, there are things to be sad about, and sadness can be healthy. I mean, we can't go through our lives living like we're just fucking smiling zombies and everything's perfectly fucking okay. And even though one day when things are perfectly fucking okay, we'll still have reasons to be not so happy. Because perfectly fucking okay does not mean there's never going to be another unpleasant thing happening ever. It just means that we'll no longer be diseased with evil. Anyway, so my point is, the body, the personality, the soul, the self, the spirit, which is the emotions, the personality, the self, the emotions, they're all particles. The same particles that make up every chemical, every single substance, everything. You can't say that my soul is non-physical, that my soul is specialer than reality, because then you're saying your soul is not reality. You cannot say that God is bigger than reality or specialer than reality or real but above real, because then you're saying it's not real. You have to take things literally and seriously. Everything is made of chemicals. If there is a God, it is made of chemicals. If you have a soul, it is made of chemicals, and I believe you have a soul, but I believe that it's quite possible and more than likely that that soul is the chemicals in your body. And I don't mean Drano when I say chemicals. I don't mean sulfuric acid, although there's probably some sulfuric acid in the human body. I mean any chemical. Blood is a chemical. You know, the sky is made of chemicals. Water is a chemical. Literally everything is a chemical. And for those of you who use the term literally to mean a lot, or really, really, or just to emphasize things, if you even know what emphasis is, that is not how literally works. When you say literally, you mean exactly what you say. It means something is actually real. So if you can't say someone literally laughed their ass off, because that would mean that they actually, in reality, laughed until their ass fell off. That's not what literally means. Literally does not mean a lot. Literally does not mean close to real. Literally means real. Anyway, kind of venting on that one. But that pisses me off when people misuse literally. And I didn't want there to be any misunderstanding. So, now that I kind of provided some backstory, I can say what made me want to start the video. I was just thinking, I'm not a permanent thing. I'm not this concrete being that is permanent and is locked into this state of selfness, of me-ness. There are all these particles that make me up. All these millions and trillions of particles, these atoms and these protons and neutrons and electrons, these tiny, tiny particles making up almost as tiny, tiny molecules that make up all the different, many, many chemicals that make up my body. Those things those are me. Those are my soul, but there's so many souls. So many separate neutrons. And so many spirits. So many separate electrons. And so many aspects to my personality. So many different protons. So many little tiny earth elements. Such a powerful thing. And yet, this is Lego. This is not permanent. This is not concrete. This is not a totality. This is a temporary thing. When I die, I will face annihilation. Everything that made me up, all those pieces, those chemicals that I'm built out of, they will continue to exist. But the person I think of when I think of myself is no longer going to be together. It's no longer going to be one. All the Lego that makes me up is going to be separated into its individual pieces. I'm going to be materials, building blocks. When I die, every bit of me that has all the memories and everything else and the personality that I have now, which is an assortment of things, that's going to be separated from the system in which it is in that makes it function as one person. And that's going to basically, my game is going to be saved to all those particles. But I won't be continuing on this level. I'll keep my experience points, and I will keep my leveled up skills and attributes, but I'll have to transfer my data over to the sequel. Because when I die, it's game over, and there are no continues. There are no extra lives. But there's also no such thing as total destruction. You can't make something stop existing. You can only change its form. You can break something, you can break it into smaller and smaller and smaller pieces. You can shatter it, but those pieces that you broke it into are always going to be there, no matter how small they are. Even if they're dust, even if they're single atoms, single neutrons, single protons, and single electrons. Even if they were broken down even further than that, still wouldn't be gone, just be different shape, different size, different form. So, in one way of looking at it, I'm completely unbreakable, I'm completely undestroyable, but in another way of looking at it, I don't even exist. I'm a construction of different things. I'm not a permanent being. I'm made of Lego. Spare pieces. And when those pieces decide they no longer want to hold together, that's it. I'm done. My soul won't cease to exist on many, many, many pieces of my soul. My spirit won't cease to exist. And neither will my personality, but it's not going to hold together as the same thing. And already I've lost my identity. In my search for power, in my search for greater good, in my search for truth, I've lost who I used to be, and now I'm no one. And people may pipe up and say, "Oh, you're not no one, you're a great guy." And you know what? I am a great guy, and I know that, but I'm not a someone anymore. I'm not putting myself down. I'm not talking in terms of quality. I'm talking in terms of identity. There is no data on me anymore that gives me an identity. There is no sense of identity. I still have personality, I feel certain ways about things, I think certain ways about things, but it's not cemented anymore, and I can do whatever I want. I still have my self, but the self is no longer has any definition. It's just, I just am, I just exist, and I still have emotions, but I can control them, and my emotions they're bent on my goals instead of my fleeting desires and my reactions to certain encounters and situations. I'm more about getting the job done now. And that may sound bleak and emotionless, but no, it's a very emotional job. Because my job is to be a fucking superhero. My job is to fucking change the universe. But with positivity comes negativity. Because positive energy attracts negative energy, just like magnets. Positive end attracts the negative end. That's your yin and yang for you. What's the yin? It's positive, but it's got a great big bunch of negativity attached to it. It's got a white dot in the middle. It's all that light, all that positive energy. And then what happens? It's surrounded by way more blackness, way more darkness and negative energy than it has light in its center. And same with the yang. It's got a black dot, it's got this horrible negativity in the center. But it attracts so much positivity. It's surrounded by light. The yin and the yang, two different natures of things. The only way to have balance is to have both. I don't like the yang though. I don't like it at all because it's a bunch of fake ass shit. I'm not a balanced individual. I'm not the guy who goes for balance, having both good and evil in his life. I have to annihilate evil. And that's why there's so much evil coming to me. It's coming to my doorstep to get fucking fucked up. It's coming looking for a fight. It's coming asking for an ass kicking. That's exactly what I give it. Took me a long time to build up enough power to actually be able to do something to it. enough knowledge, enough courage, enough sanity. But I got it. I'm not there yet. I'm not as powerful as I need to be to take them all out. Task proved to be a lot harder than it seemed. But I can take them. At this point I have to do it one at a time, and it's still pretty difficult. But I can take them. And you know what I'm doing to them, it can't completely destroy them either. They'll be back. They'll be recycled, reincarnated. So maybe that's not the right way to deal with them. But I tried healing them. I tried making them better. I tried curing them, fixing them. Removing viruses, mental viruses, programs, all that shit. But that's not the way it works. In truth, the good get elevated, and the evil, they get tossed into the pit, into the abyss. And the neutral, they get nothing. Nothing at all. Just live a plain life, putting forth half the effort and getting half the results. But they only get half the reward and only half the punishment. So, in case you were wondering how to get out of having to put up all the effort it takes to be good, and how to get out of all the punishment that comes with being evil, there's your way. Just be plain and normal, dull, and never do anything special. And spend your life living for just being alive. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not good enough, that's all. Well, pretty much run out of things to say. I got to the point I was trying to get to. It's just I want to say nothing lasts forever, but everything gets recycled in the end, comes back, regardless. It's repurposed. So maybe what I should really say is what lasts for now is for now, and what comes later will be new. And that reminds me of something else I came up with. Not just a fly by the seat of my pants idea, but an actual something that I know is true. A lot of people try to deny things that happened in the past, say, oh, that's yesterday, it doesn't matter, but it does. I can sum that up by saying that the past is the foundation of the present, and the present is the artifact of the future.